Welcome everyone to our interview for today. And I'm really excited today. We have Justin on, who is the visionary for SoCreate, right? Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah, I'm the founder of the company and kind of lead the direction that we go in, along with input from my whole team, of course, and all of the people that are using SoCreate. We listen to their feedback, and that kind of drives the company as well.
Perfect. Well, the reason I want to do this interview is because I think so many times people just see the software and they're like, okay, but they don't understand the people behind the software. And I think that's one of the most interesting stories about all the different softwares and stuff like that come out nowadays. And so I really love your story, and I know some of it because I've been reading some of the background that you've been posting on your blogs and stuff. I think people would find it really interesting because how do you come up with an idea to say, okay, I'm going to take on Final Draft and put out a screenwriting software program?
Yeah, it's the long journey for me if I go all the way back. But initially, I was learning to do screenwriting when I was in college and was interested in pursuing a career in film. I've always loved movies and TV and just stories in general. And so, I was always drawn to that. And when I was going to school and I was learning to do screenwriting, I was using Final Draft and I think Movie Magic Screenwriter. And it was just to me, it felt very cumbersome and it was just like if I felt like the tools got in the way of me writing dialogue and action and really thinking about my story and my characters as opposed to thinking about the formatting and how it looks on the page. And it just felt like that was an unnecessary thing that you have to deal with. And at the time I was also learning software development, and so I was like, I wonder if, because I'm a problem solver just naturally. I've always been a problem solver. I grew up on a small farm and have always been fixing and building things my whole life and love to do that. And so I just started thinking, I don't like to think about problems in the way of, this is terrible, and just kind of not think about, well, if it's terrible, how would I resolve it? How would I change it? Like, what would I do to make it different or better? Or at least that work for me. And so I started thinking about that concept and those ideas as I was using those tools and writing screenplays. And and then I just one day I was just like, oh, I had some ideas on how I do it differently. And then I actually set out to kind of try to build it years ago. And I, worked on it for several months. And then I realized that at that time, technology just wasn't where it needed to be for me to be able to build the tool that I wanted to build. And so I actually ended up turning that software that I was writing into a content management system for websites. And then I built a company on top of that software and then sold that company.
Awesome.
And then kind of kept my eye on this prize of I kept thinking about this idea, and just because I thought the approach that I was thinking about was unique and different and could potentially help a lot of people. And so I just kept thinking about it. And I when I sold that company, I started another company because the timing still wasn't right yet. I felt like what I wanted to do, the capabilities just weren't there in software, and not in the way that I wanted to do it. And because I wanted to do it all on the web, and I wanted to make it more community driven. I wanted to make it accessible to everybody. And so the tools just weren't there at that time. And so I started another company and did that and built online communities and stuff like that. And then when I was got to a point where I wanted to be able to self-fund the initial rollout of SoCreate. And so I was saving money and trying to, really build up enough cash to be able to start working on this software. And when I got to that point, I started selling off the company that I had built, and then just started focusing on this. And now we're 100% full time on this now for the last year and a half or so. So we officially launched last May.
Sweet. Sweet.
Yeah.
So from where you started at to where you're at now, how long do you think it's been from the initial phases to where you're at right now? How long do you think it's been?
So we started writing code in about 2018 for
Okay.
SoCreate, 2018, late 2018, 2019. And then, we worked on it with a small team for the first couple of years. And then the last year or so, we put the whole team on it. And so it's been about 4 years of software development to get to where we are now.
Can I ask how many programmers that you use to, or is that a trade secret?
No, it's not a trade secret. There's 15 people on our team in total, and the majority of them are either engineers or UX developers or design. And we have a couple of designers also.
Awesome. What has been your biggest challenge when you've been working on the software?
The biggest challenge, we're really good at building software. So the software challenges are things that, we feel like we can overcome usually. The biggest challenge is I don't think they're really on the software side. I think it's more on the side of just building awareness about the product, and making people understand the product is harder than I thought it would be. I mean, I've worked on lots of different products and lots of different software over the years, and all of them have their own challenges, and this was different. In terms of the software, I think the hardest thing is probably wanting to go faster because we have so much stuff that we want to build, and we have, a finite amount of resources, so we can only do so much. But as we move forward and the company grows, we'll be able to do more and more. So we'll be able to get faster. But I mean, I think over the last year and a half or so, my team has been amazing at, building and releasing things. I mean, we update the software multiple times a day. We're constantly moving forward, and we've made tons of progress.
Yeah, no, I've seen that from the time that I've first initially looked at it to even just looking at it again today, the differences that I've seen. So yeah, definitely you guys are always working on upgrading it and making the experience nicer. So I know one of in my opinion, I think one of the biggest challenges you have is taking for screenwriting, just because for a long time, Final Draft, even Fade In, they all have sort of the same type of mindset. Okay, here's this word editor, go at it, there you go. Talk to me a little bit more about your perspective on the way that you have your UI set up, and why you think that's a better interface than the traditional means.
Okay. So there's a lot of different goals to our software, and the reason it's designed the way that it is. One of the goals was to make screenwriting more approachable for more people, and also make everything that you would want to do in a screenplay discoverable within the tool. Right? Which is vastly different than any other screenwriting tool. I mean, pretty much every screenwriting tool that I've ever seen, you have to kind of know how to do screenwriting to use those tools.
Right.
And you have to do a lot of research and learning. It takes a long period of time to really, I mean, you pretty much talk to anybody that's ever done screenwriting, and if they're honest with you, they'll tell you it took a long time before they figured it out.
Oh yeah.
And our goal was to, one of our goals was to reduce the amount of time that it takes, right? And I feel like we radically do that with SoCreate, in the sense that somebody that's never written a screenplay before, I mean, you still have to be a good writer, you still have to be a good storyteller. We don't do that for you.
Right.
But someone that's a storyteller that's never written a screenplay before can come to SoCreate, and within a very short period of time, can actually be writing pretty decent screenplays. And they don't have, and then the cool thing about SoCreate is all of the features are discoverable because they're within the UI, and you'll see them, and you can explore them and see, oh, what's this do? What is this? And there's more descriptions around the tools. It's a little bit more understandable. It's not perfect. I think that there's certainly, like, one of the things in software and building software tools that you're constantly battling against are trade-offs. and what are the trade-offs, and so I definitely think, and we had to pick a set of trade-offs when we launched, right? So our tool is only going to get better over time. The discoverability, the ability to get up and going is going to get better over time. But I think we do a pretty good job of that, of lowering the barrier to entry, which was one of the goals of the software. Now, with that being said, we set out to build a professional tool, a tool that's not just for beginners, a tool that's more powerful than traditional screenwriting software. And I think that we're just starting to get to that now. So I think, the first part of it was just kind of getting to the same level, right? Where we could pretty much do anything that any screenwriting software could do. So that was the first goal. And now we're at a point where we're going to start, adding in things, because we spent a lot of time building the underlying platform, right? And that will enable a lot of features and a lot of things that we can build on top. And so now we're just getting ready to start releasing some of these things that I think will take not only, entry-level screenwriters, but professional screenwriters, take their writing to a new level with some of the different ways that you'll be able to collaborate, get feedback. A lot of the things that we're bringing are going to make that experience more powerful. And we're just at the beginning. There's so many more things that we're going to do to make the tool faster and better. One of the things in SoCreate that I think that one of the first impressions that people get, and we're working on trying to figure out ways to kind of reduce this, is, when you first get in there, you think, oh, this is kind of cool. It's, visual, and you're clicking around and adding things and everything like that. And then you start to feel like, well, I'm having to use my mouse a lot. I'm not just typing and that sort of thing. And the thing that people don't know about SoCreate is that you don't have to use your mouse at all. You can 100% use the keyboard. There's a few shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, that you need to learn to do that. They're much easier and to learn than most shortcuts that you've ever tried to learn in a program. They're very simple, like holding down Shift and hitting Enter, holding down Command and hitting Enter. I mean, very, very simple things like that will take your screen and make it really fast. And I actually think editing in SoCreate is faster than editing in a traditional text editor. Primarily because you can jump whole blocks of text. So you can jump from an action item to a dialogue item to an action item to a dialogue item, and then immediately be in there and editing. And so there, like, productivity wise, I think SoCreate is just as fast as using any other software. And also you can actually be more productive in some ways doing it. So I think that to answer your question is, we started off with two goals in mind: building a really easy, approachable software that enables people, but also at the same time, which is very difficult, to try to bridge these two gaps, make something that will be really efficient and effective for professionals. So that's like kind of baseline. Then when I start thinking about, okay, why is using a visual tool, because that's how we describe SoCreate, it's a more visual tool. Like, what are the advantages of using a visual tool? And I think there's tremendous advantages. And I think first impressions, potentially for some people that are used to doing it a specific way, because I think one of the things as humans, it's difficult to relearn your process or rework your process when you already have been doing it a certain way for a long time, and you already know how to do it that way. And you're like, well, why would you might think, why would I spend time learning how to do it this other way when it just produces a screenplay document, just like Final Draft does, or whatever else you may be using? And the answer to that question, from my perspective, is that something changes in your mind when you start seeing the visuals on the screen, and you kind of, once you get to know how to flow in SoCreate and move, these visuals will actually start, like, they actually take a lot of load off of your brain, in terms of when you start writing a screenplay and you start to get a lot of characters in there, it can be difficult to remember what those characters are, what they look like, how you should be thinking about writing them. One of the common things that you'll see lots of screenwriters talk about is, my characters all start to sound the same. And part of the reason I believe is because when you're working in a text editor and you just have this name, this name, this name, there's nothing to that. And your mind has to work really hard to switch from one character to the other because there's nothing that's that's doing that other than, you're thinking about it. And when you have these visual characters that you can look at, switching between those character types, it becomes much easier. It's just something that it takes the load off of your mind, and it becomes much easier. Another thing that I think doing visual screenwriting is even no matter who you are, even if you're one of the top pros, I mean, the top pros can force themselves to sit down and write. That's what they do. That's their job. But even sometimes you just don't feel like it, and it's hard. It's hard to get you might not feel creative, it could be other things going on in your life, whatever. And so one of the really cool things about SoCreate that people may not think about is that, let's say that I'm writing a scene and I don't really feel like working today, but I have a scene that's in this coffee shop. And every time I imagine that coffee shop, I think about the coffee shop that's just around the corner from my house, right? So like when I'm thinking about two characters sitting in this coffee shop, I'm always visualizing that coffee shop. Well, one of the things you can do with SoCreate is you can take your phone, because you can use it on your phone. You can go down, if you don't feel like writing one day, you can go down to that coffee shop and you can take some pictures inside of that coffee shop that then you can use in SoCreate. And what happens when you do that is it immediately triggers this like kind of creativity because you'll start thinking about your story. Mm-hmm. Now you're in that physical space. You're thinking about your story. You're taking pictures of what are going to look good for your location. And immediately your mind will start thinking about your story and your creativity will start coming to you. So I think that that's another real benefit to using SoCreate is you can do things like that are still working on your story, but even when you're not specifically writing. And those things can help you because a lot of writing, a lot of story building is, thinking about it a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So some of it's sitting down and just cranking it out, but some of it is also just thinking about it a lot. And so you can do those things and actually do some things that kind of really stimulate your creativity by thinking about the imagery and thinking about these other things that will maybe help you see things in a way that you wouldn't have seen them had you not been seeing them visually. So there's all of those things. And then beyond that, so one of the things that, especially professional writers, if they're a really good writer, they can paint a picture with their words, and that's awesome. And it takes a lot of practice to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing that I know for sure is they can paint a picture with their words that's amazing visual, and everybody will get some visual picture from that, right? But the thing that they can't guarantee is that the other people get the picture that they want them to see. Right. And no matter how good they are, they can't guarantee that they're going to see the picture that they want them to see. But with visuals, they can ensure that you do, right? To me, not using visuals as a part of the way that you communicate your story is like tying your hands behind your back. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you not do that?
Right.
Humans, visualization is one of the best ways to communicate. And a screenplay is trying to communicate a story, right? And so that's why people make pitch decks and all these other things, right? Because it's part of that, visualization. At the end of the day, a screenplay is a sales document. You want to sell this movie or this TV show, and the better that you can portray that visually, along with your words, I feel like the better chances you have of selling it. Now, a lot of things have to change in the industry and things have to evolve. We have to, what we're trying to do has to get bigger. Maybe, we'll have competitors that will come in and start thinking about it this way. And the thing is as this moves forward, I think everybody's going to start thinking about stories more visually because it's like a superpower.
And I agree. Like I said, as you're talking about that, I sort of think about the time when I'm working on a screenplay myself. I'm like, and the reason why I liked before SoCreate came out, I liked Scrivener and even Final Draft is because I can go on the beat board, I can plot pictures on there and say, okay, this is my character. This is, but now it's a lot easier because I can do that right in the program. I don't have to have a separate, and I'll be staring at this, like the different, like when you're talking about having a hard time with different characters. Now I can see, I have a physical, I can upload a JPEG of that picture of that person that I'm like, okay, so whenever I see them in the dialogue, oh yeah, I'm talking about Rhonda or whoever I'm
Yeah.
talking about. And I'm like, then it's easier to flip into that voice than, like you were saying before, just seeing the word on the page, Rhonda. You see the person, then you can, as you're explaining that more, it makes a lot more sense to me. So
Yeah, it's something that, you know, we get every, some people see SoCreate for the first time and absolutely love it, right? Like just immediately fall in love with it. And I've had lots of people tell me like this, I feel like you took what I wanted out of my head and made it.
yeah,
I've had people tell me that, right? This is like the thing that I've been looking for my entire life. And then we have other people that are, that have learned how to do it in the traditional way. And they think it's, some people think it's ridiculous. Like, why would you ever do this? And the thing that some people, the people that actually, I have had people that think it's ridiculous but still are open-minded enough to give it a try, and then their perspective changes because they start to feel some of these benefits.
mhm.
Right, if you just look at it, spend a minute with it, and you just go back to your own way, you won't get that, because it takes a little bit of effort to really start thinking about differently. But once you do, it really changes things for you. And we had people that were, during our trial, it was free during our trial period, and had used the software. And then when the trial was over, they didn't feel like paying for it. And the software was nowhere near where it is today. And then they've since told me that they really missed it. They didn't realize how much they would miss the imagery
Mhm.
and the software when they went back to using their standard way of writing, and it have since come back and subscribed. So it's different. It's a different approach. It's a different way of doing it. And we're super excited about it though, because we think that, I mean, you've seen some of the stuff that's coming that we're not really sharing right now,
Right.
but we think that, it's total game changer for writers and, screenwriters, visual storytellers, dialogue driven storytellers. We think that it's going to really be a huge game changer in the industry.
Well, I think so too. And like I said, that's why I haven't got my video out yet with where I rank my top 10 softwares, but I got you guys down at number 3. I mean,
Oh, thank
so
you. Appreciate it.
yeah, because like I said here, and I know this is, people are like, well, why are you just telling us? I'm like, but I think people will really get, I think it will be a big game changer. I think your approach to that and seeing some of the stuff I've seen, yeah, I was speechless, and that's hard for me.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's like, it's so exciting for me and my team to come to work every day. We feel like we're building the future of storytelling tools, and I truly believe we are. I mean, if you really think about a screenplay and screenwriting software that's out there today, now, although there's some very powerful tools and they're great at what they do, screenwriting, no one ever sat down and designed, like, what's the best way to write a screenplay,
Right.
right? Screenplays were an evolution out of plays and typewriters and just making an instruction document on how to put this movie together, kind of a thing. And no one ever sat down and said, like, what would be what would be the best way to build stories for this visual medium? And we've actually done that. I mean, we've done that, and it looks quite different when you do that than when something just evolves over 100 years, And so a lot of there's tools out there. I mean, I pay attention to all the other tools, and there's tools out there, and they're doing some really modern stuff within that very finite set of capabilities. And we're just going to be able to do stuff way beyond that.
Yeah, like I said, I see this as the next sort of iteration of where screenwriting software, is at now to where it could be. And like I said, I think from what you showed me before, but sort of also your vision for this as well too. I think that's something that I think will really change the industry. I think it'd be fun to watch this video in 4 years from now and see, the
Yeah, for
difference
sure.
that this has made. And um, I
Yeah,
think the
I
other,
can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, I love where we're going. I think it's super exciting. I think it's going to be exciting for writers. I mean, we have shared, we have like a community of people that we've shared some of the things that we're doing, and some really, really great writers. And they're all very excited about what we're doing and the direction that we're going. And all literally everybody we've ever showed it to has the reaction that you had. And so it's they're kind of just blown away by it. And I hate to just talk about something that we can't really talk about, but there's amazing things coming. I mean, one step in that direction, which we can talk about, which is right around the corner, will be released in the next couple of weeks, is this new ability to get feedback from people. And I think that's going to, be amazing for writers, because as a writer, whether, you're just getting started and you have a spouse, a friend, that you want to give you feedback on your writing, this will make it effortless. They don't have to have a SoCreate account. You have complete control over it. It's going to make it very, very fun for them and for you. And it's going to make it easy for you to get feedback. Getting feedback is one of the hardest things that a writer can do. And the more cumbersome you make it to give somebody feedback, the less likely you are to get that feedback.
right.
And so we've really lowered the bar in terms of ease of getting feedback, and using, tooling that people already know how to use. And so that's I think it's going to be a big deal. And that's just right around the corner.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because whenever I'm on the sub or the Reddit for screenwriting, people are always asking, I need feedback, I need feedback, I need feedback. And so, um, yeah, I think having a way to do that, I think, yeah, it's definitely a game changer, because people are really asking for it. Like I said, if you go on the subreddit, I think it's probably at least half the posts are that
Yeah.
people asking for
And
feedback.
they'll now, like, going forward, SoCreate, they'll just be able to post a link, and people can go and, give feedback.
Exactly.
So super, super easy.
So, what's your favorite part of your program that you've made so far?
That's a good question. It changes as we release new features. um, let's see. I mean, I don't know. That's a hard question. That's a very difficult question for me. I think, as of today, I think I love the shortcut stuff, because I feel it's really, like, powerful and so easy to use, that you're kind of cranking out this visual story by using these shortcuts. I think it's pretty cool. That's probably one of my favorite things. I mean, there's so many things that are coming that I'm looking forward to, that we're already, like, kind of doing, like, testing and working on, and so some of those things really are
Okay.
probably my favorite. Some of the things that we have coming. I mean, all of the stuff that's in the tool today. So this is one of the things that people, it's not always apparent, is that all the things that are in the tool today, like, we designed like 2.5 years ago,
Wow.
like, so it's been a while that we've been thinking about those things and working on those things. And so the things that we're building now, that are not available yet, but that we're working on, those things I'm super excited about. So those are the things that I'm probably, are my favorite right now.
Cool. Cool. Um, so I know this is sort of a really high view, but I was going to ask you, um, let's say it's been 5 years. Where do you see yourself in 5 years as a company?
I see us as a much larger organization, with um, a tremendous community built around the company. Um, I feel like if all of the things align, like, nothing's guaranteed, and so, we have lots of hurdles that we have to cross. But the thing that I think is the thing that drives us are is building a community of people that support each other. And I think that through the tools and through the things that we're making, I think that we will have a very, very large community of writers. And I think that we will have grown the screenwriting industry quite dramatically. And so that's where I see us at in 5 years, as a much larger company with a lot more people, writing screenplays, and a lot more people making money from writing screenplays.
Awesome. I think everybody's going to like that last part.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is one of our goals, is to enable writers to be able to hopefully get to a point to where they can, pay for their own living through writing. And I think that that's totally possible. And I think that's where we're headed.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, have you been writing your own screenplay still?
I have not written my own screenplays in a while. And I should say that I have not completed any screenplays. I'm writing some stuff right now, but it's like I'm consumed from early in the morning till late at night with building SoCreate. And so that's where I'm focused at. And so I spend a lot of time, talking to people, supporting people. One of the things that I do, that's not always done from a CEO of a company's perspective, is I am one of the people that support every single one of our customers. I do support all the time. And I think that it's fundamentally critical for me to do that. And I will always do that. I don't care how large of a company we are. I will always be on the front lines, working with customers, supporting customers, because that's how I learn, and that's how we learn as a company to, where we're going to go and what are the things that writers need. And I love that part of my job. It's like, some people may hate that, but like there's nothing that I love more than talking to customers and understanding, what don't they like? We always tell everybody we want all feedback, good, bad, everything in between, because that's how we learn and that's how we make the product better. And we're committed to making the best, story development environment ever. And the only way that we're going to do that is by listening to customers. And so I do that all the time. So between listening to customers and, I still work with our engineering team. I still help architect software. I work across the company and with every team. And so that keeps me pretty busy. And then I have a family and as well. So I do that also.
Wow. I mean, that is a lot. Yeah, I
That's a
don't
lot.
think people realize that. I think they just think, well, the software's there, it's all done, and you just sort of sit back and relax. But like you said, you're doing a lot with it. And I think I know I've appreciated that, if I have questions or stuff, you get back to me really quickly. I won't mention the other software company, one of your competitors who's yet to talk to me in about a month. But so I really appreciate that. And I think, having that customer focus is actually rare in the screenwriting software industry,
Especially
right?
in the tech industry.
Yeah.
It is rare. I mean, if you go to our website, you can click on a chat icon and chat with us right away. I mean, a lot of software companies try to avoid, interaction with customers at all. And I think I think their goal is to make software that doesn't need people to be, you don't need help to use the software. It should be very easy to use and all of that. But the reality of it is there's always things that come up and customers need support. And one of the things that we actually internally we refer to everybody that's part of SoCreate as a member, right? We think of it more as a community of people. And so when we want to be there for our members, and we want to we will always have excellent support. One of the things that if you look at it, any like our Facebook comments and stuff like that, we constantly are getting people that tell us stuff like, never had support like this from any company before. And I mean, that's something that we take super pride in, because we know what it's like. We're people. We know what it's like to be on the other side of having something that's not working well or just whatever, and you just can't get help with it, and it's horrible. And it's one of my pet peeves. I've been in the software industry for years, and I drives me crazy that companies do that, and so we're never going to be like that.
Yeah, and like I said, that's my experience too, is that you've always been available for comments or questions or which again, I just want to give you a lot of props for because like I said, having worked with a lot of different or trying a lot of different softwares out there, I can tell you you guys are not the norm. I mean, there's only one other software company that is as good as you guys are. But the rest of them, yeah, if you get a response within a week, that's great. Um, but yeah, so keep doing what you're doing. I think that's awesome, and I'm glad that that's a tenet that you have, and I think that's important for people to
That's,
know is how important customer service is for you guys.
it's 100% important. You know, if somebody, if we get a problem with somebody and it's interfering with their ability to work or do anything, we pretty much drop everything that we're doing and focus on that. And we're going to do that as long as we possibly can. As the company grows, it will be more challenging. You know, I know if company's 3 or 4 or 5 times bigger, I know my time is going to be more difficult. But I'm always going to be a part of the front lines of it, and I'm always going to take as many, you know, do as many customer member interactions that I can.
Awesome, awesome. Um, so was there a time when you were creating SoCreate that you didn't know if it was going to go through or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's something that, you know, every single person that starts a company or builds anything like this worries about continuously. I mean, I still worry about that, honestly. I mean, it's like one of those things where you know, I, it's, you know, for people that are entrepreneurs or that create things like this, I mean, SoCreate was a vision that I had for something, and it's, I mean, I have had people say to me many, many times, like, how did you think of all this stuff? You know, and it was just really thinking about one thing and then the next thing and then trying to figure it out. And it's just like, I mean, you're just like cranking on this thing for a long period of time. And you have doubts. I mean, everybody has doubts. I mean, I'm pretty confident person, but like, I mean, I have doubts every day. Like, is this going to work? Are we going to, be able to get to the critical mass that we need in order to continue to fund the company and grow the company? I mean, there's definitely those fears are continuous and nothing is written in stone. You know, we still have to figure out a lot. We still have to make it. So yeah, I think I mean, it's something that I've worried about since the very beginning. It's something that I worry about every single day. I think that worrying about that is a good thing and a thing that, is going to propel us to push as hard as we can to continue on this path and to get the feedback and really listen to what customers' needs are, because that's what's going to make us successful. It's the people that use the software, the people that give us feedback, they're going to help us be successful and hopefully build the tool that's perfect for them, because that's what we're trying to do.
Well, what else would you like people to know about you and the company? Is there anything else in particular that we haven't covered tonight?
We have an amazing team of people. We've all worked together for quite some time. Everybody on this team is uh, very dedicated and super hardworking. And occasionally we'll get like rude things that people will say or whatever, because they just look at it and just don't understand it. And that's always bums me out for my team, because I know that they put their heart and soul into this every single day. It's not just like a lot. SoCreate's a very professional company. We have a very professional presence and everything, and so a lot. We're honestly a small company, and a lot of people will think that we're some big corporation like Microsoft or something. And it's, but the reality of it is there's a bunch of very hardworking, dedicated people that get up every morning, and their sole goal is to make the ability for people to create and tell stories. That's what they care about, and that's what they're trying to do. And one of the things that we're doing this not only for people in the US or people that speak English. SoCreate's in 16 different languages, and we offer subscriptions to our software in 16 different currencies.
Wow.
And so we're not only supporting, we're supporting the people across. We have people that use the software in 22 different countries. And so that's and we care about all of these people that are doing this, and we every day we get up to work for those people. And so I'd love everybody to know that. And then also, just give SoCreate a chance, give it a try, because it's something that will change the way that you think about writing and creating stories if you give it a chance. The software works pretty good. It's not perfect. There's definitely things that we need to improve on. We have lots of improvements coming, and it will just get better and better over time. And so we are going to work every single day as hard as we can to make this company a success, and to make many writers successful. That's our goal. Our goal is to lift writers up and to bring stories into the world that have never been told, about people's lives. There's so much we can learn from writers, and I think that especially screenwriters, it's unfortunate that more of their stories don't get told, and we're hoping that we can fix that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, and I just appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us about what it's like to create a software. Because like I said, I don't think people, they just see the end product. But like I said, having you talk to us before about telling us, hey, we've been working on that particular thing for 2.5 years, or to just see your passion behind how you want to do customer service and stuff like that. And I think again, some people just download the software and like, oh yeah, this is great, or no, so I don't like it, but they don't understand the story behind it. And I just think it was interesting and great that you came on and told us, a little bit more about the nuts and bolts, what was
Thank
going
you.
on.
One thing I should also mention is that whenever I mentioned that I had these ideas for how I would like to write, how to build a software, but we didn't just go from those ideas that I had. We actually interviewed over 60 professional screenwriters, and for hours at a time. I mean, some of the most successful screenwriters in Hollywood, all the way down to people that were working on their first movie set. And I spent hours, tons and tons of hours, understanding the writing processes, understanding the things that got in their way. They would tell me all the things that they hated about their current writing software. They would tell me the things that they loved about it. And I mean, and I didn't tell them what we were building or show them what we were building. I was just trying to understand, if some of their problems were the same as the ones that I had, and what if the solutions that we were thinking about would solve those problems. And that process dramatically changed the software, made it tremendously better. It's still, when we came out with SoCreate, all of those writers that we interviewed were, it's just shockingly different than what they were expecting, And so, so much has gone into this, making this come to be. So much hard work, years of saving money, and as a small company, and trying to make this happen, and so many hours from all of our team, trying to figure out how to do this and make this all work. And so it's been a long journey, and we're only at the beginning. And so it's having people know those things is great. Creating software is not easy. It looks simple because there's a lot of it. There's a lot of people that do it, but it's definitely, there's definitely a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, like I said, I just really thank you for taking the time to give us that perspective, because I think, like I said, it's just neat to see the journey that you're on right now. And like I said, I see in 5 years, big things for you guys, and I know we've been hitting that out a lot, and I know I'll probably get a lot of talk in the comments about that, but it's neat. It's neat to see something that, I look at it sort of like, for lack of a better term, Bitcoin. When Bitcoin came out first, they're like, yeah, whatever. And now it's a big deal. And so I'm going to put my reputation on the line and say, I see SoCreate doing that same type of thing in the next 5 years.
That means so much to me. And that, a whole lot to our team as well. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk with you, and to share with the people that follow you our story. I mean, we would love to hear from all of them. Even if you don't like what we're doing, I mean that's awesome. I mean we it's not for everybody. I think eventually it will be, but if it's not for you right now, then it's totally, we understand. The thing that I think is that there's the more ways that we have to do something, the better it is for everybody.
Right.
And so I think that, we'd love to hear from anybody that's interested. We do demos every single week for people. We do training. So if you're interested in a SoCreate trial, we do a 1 hour training every single week. If you can't make it to our 1 hour training, we'll schedule a time that works for you. So we're here to help you in every way we can. People that attend the training have a tendency to be more successful really quickly with SoCreate. So it's helpful to do that. We are working as hard as we can to make it easy even without that. But yeah, I definitely recommend that for people that are interested in finding out more and doing it. We have a 3-day trial. You can use the software for free. We just added some new plans. So we have a professional plan and a personal plan now. Personal plan is really inexpensive and should be affordable for most people. We also have student plans. So if you're a student and you're in college, you're in high school, you have an EDU address, you can sign up for our student plan also.
Awesome. Awesome. No, those are all real good things. Yeah. And like I said, I went through one of the trainings. It was really informative, real nice. I got to learn the software really easy. So I just echo that. Like I said, it was really easy to use. So, yeah. So, well, I'm going to stop my recording right now, unless there's anything else you want to say.
No, I think that